your supplies and put them in your assigned station. That portion right there is where the first mistake happens. It doesn't cost them points if they don't unpack their bag and put it into the workstation, but it costs them time, okay? If they will unpack that kit and they will put it inside the working station, if you have a bag for pre-exam, you have a bag for manicure, you have a bag for facial, if you put that in that order, in that desk, then it keeps it organized for them, right? Then they don't have to think about it. That's fine. However, whatever way works for them, because nobody's going to look at that. All I'm telling you is this makes it easier. They don't lose points. It makes it easier for them to stay in control, okay? You will also take out the supplies you will need for the manicure service section of the examination. Please place your Ziploc bag on top of your workstation to be evaluated by your examiner. You'll be informed when you have 5 minutes remaining. Okay, so safety criteria does not have to be performed in order. If you'll look at your candidate information bulletin, the pre-exam setup and disinfection is listed as safety criteria, right? See that? Okay. That means it doesn't have to be performed in order, but all of those task lines have to be performed during that time frame. When we're asking for the Ziploc bag to be set up on their workstation to be evaluated by the rater, that is the manicure Ziploc bag. We are changing that language because we've had comments saying they were confused, they didn't know what we were talking about, so now we're specifying, okay? We're going to say, please place your manicure bag on top of your workstation to be evaluated by your examiner. What we're looking for when we evaluate a bag is whether or not the contents are truly clean and whether they're labeled as pre-sanitized. Okay? Okay. During that, if you'll look at the task lines that are associated, let's do that. Okay, the first one, implements and supplies are pre-sanitized and labeled in English only. We understand that on this one, what we're looking for is, are those bags labeled as pre-sanitized? Not whether or not a file says labeled as file. Cotton says cotton. All these things don't need to be labeled. The only thing that has to be labeled as its intended use is something like their lotion, their polish remover, so we know what that is. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Disposes of waste material using a trash bag. Are they just piling it up on their station, or are they dropping it down in the trash bag? Disinfects the work surface with approved EPA registered disinfectant. If it's a spray bottle of water but it says EPA, that's its intended use. So that's okay. It doesn't have to be the actual disinfectant. This is not a service. This is an assessment of what they do. Okay? It's not a service.
Could you repeat that, please?
I'm sorry?
Could you repeat that, please?
Where do you want me to start?
The water part.
Okay. If it is a spray bottle of water labeled EPA, you have satisfied this task line. It does not have to be the actual disinfectant inside the bottle. It shows intent that they understand they have to use EPA. Okay? This is not a service. It is an assessment. Okay? Does that answer your question? Okay. Let's
now,
make
that same bottle that's labeled EPA, they go back and spray it on their haircut. That's a no-no.
That is a no-no. Because it's labeled as its intended use to be disinfectant. Okay? And we certainly wouldn't put disinfectant on somebody's hair. So they have to have two separate bottles. Okay? It used to be that they had to have alcohol, they had to have disinfectant, they had to have all this stuff. We're not assessing, we're only assessing that they understand and have the understanding of using an EPA product. So we only need one. And then they have to have their hand sanitizer. And that should be labeled as hand sanitizer. Okay? That's okay too. If it says EPA, hospital grade, that's fine. All of those things are okay. This is the simplest way to do it. EPA. And it satisfies the task line. Very simple. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure that it's still correct. If the bottle says hand sanitizer, you don't need to relabel it, correct? Or
Correct.
You do have to relabel it.
No. If it says hand sanitizer, sanitizer on there somewhere. That's its intended use, that's what it is, okay? We'll believe whatever that is, okay? Maybe it's lotion that says hand sanitizer. We have to accept it for what it's titled, okay? Any other questions on that? Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, like, if it says on the sanitizer and it's not really sanitizer, they would take them off EPA or?
Yep.
Would that be?
Yep, we have to go with what's titled on the bottom, okay? If it's labeled EPA, then you need to use it for EPA. If you are as hand sanitizer and it's lotion inside, then you need to use it as hand sanitizer.
But
Okay?
she's asking though, if they label it not EPA, you wouldn't need to.
No, you don't need to. Don't need to. No, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. No, you don't need to. Just a label, EPA, or hand sanitizer, one or the other. Okay, number 4, this is where we run into some trouble. Okay? I had some phone calls to tell me that the proctor was stopping them from setting up this table, and they were telling them no, that they couldn't do it. And so I did some research, and I looked at the videos. We have surveillance videos at the site. It doesn't zero in on candidate number 1 and watch them, and then candidate number 2. It doesn't do that. It's surveillance. It just kind of pops around the room. I cannot see where they're stopping them, but I can see candidates get ready to go, but nobody else is going, so they back up. Like, oh, I don't think I'm supposed to. They're afraid to get out there. And I have told these instructors who called me to talk about this, that if we have a proctor or rater that's stopping them from doing that, to say, I'm sorry, my instructor says I have to set up this table, and do it anyway, okay? Because they have to. And our raters understand that, and they know because it's part of this 10 minutes. If they're not doing it here, they're not getting credit for setting up the tables.
They're manicure table? So during the thing, they set up this credit for manicure?
Absolutely. Here's what I would suggest. It can go in any order because it's under safety criteria, right? But here's what I suggest. I suggest you unpack your kit, you put it inside the workstation. Then you sanitize your station. You take out your manicure bag and you travel right over there to the manicure table, put it up there, unpack it, set it all up, do what you need to do. Follow that, make sure that you close any containers your kit is closed and that you're not contaminating product. That's all you have to do. You're done. And sit there and raise your hand. I'm ready. Okay?
During this time, where are their models at?
Their models are at the table,
They're already
at the
sitting
manicure table. Yep, they're already there.
And during this time, when is the proctor going to examine the bag to make sure it's...
It's up to the examiner to see it.
So they lay it up there, whether or not they come check it? Okay.
Don't wait for them to.
Okay.
That's the worst thing you can do. It is our responsibility to see the performance. It's not their responsibility that we see it. Okay?
So there's
That
no
makes
hand
sense?
raising, come check my bag,
No.
let me move
When
on.
you're done, you need to raise your hand. Then you've indicated I've completed all 7 task lines. Okay? All right. Yes, ma'am.
One of my students went and she was told, the way the proctor read it was to set your bag on the station and raise your hand whenever you have finished completing, and we'll be by to check your
Okay.
bags.
So did you hear my instructions that I just read? Okay. This is the same script that those raters have. That's what they use. So what I believe is that because this is the beginning of the exam, they're extremely nervous and they don't hear that part. They truly don't hear what's being said because we never said, let me check your bag. We said put it out to be evaluated by. But that doesn't mean stop working and wait, okay? Because
I ended up having to be in there with her because we got to Amarillo and the models got sick, started throwing up, and they were not gonna let her go, and the proctor was like, could you be her model? Do you have your ID with you? And I said, yes. She said, because I don't want her to, she brought her model, she went through all this stuff, and we can't have this sick child, in here and stuff, so. And she did not. My girl went to set it up, and she told her, no, you need to set the bag up there until everybody's
Okay.
ready.
okay, was that quite a while ago? Was that more than like 3 months ago?
No, that was like.
Just recent?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a conversation with Amarillo. Okay, is that should not be happening. And I believe that, I thought we had that corrected on our conference calls and stuff like that to get that corrected, to make sure that's not happening. But I will write to them to find out what's going on. Because this is the way it should be. If you have a student who tells you, or you can tell your students, if they have a proctor who won't let you set up the table, you get defiant and you say, I am setting up this table. It goes with this section of the exam, and push their way through. They're not going to wrestle them to the floor. If they do, they're not going to have a job with PSI, but that should not happen. But let them know it's okay to go ahead and do that, because if they know it has to happen, yes. The instructions, yeah. Let me read the pre-exam setup instructions, so I get it exactly. Okay, ready? Okay. The first section is pre-exam setup and disinfection. You will have 10 minutes to unpack your supplies and put them in your assigned station. You will also take out the supplies you will need for the manicure service section of the examination. Please place your Ziploc bag on top of your workstation to be evaluated by your examiner. You will be informed when you have 5 minutes remaining. And then we're going to insert that word manicure Ziploc bag so that they understand it's the manicure bag. Okay? So we'll change that language. But that's all they say. Then they say, well, they'll say if you have any questions, does anyone have any questions about the instructions I just read? If nobody does, they'll say you may begin. And then all frenzy happens. Everybody starts unpacking. Everybody starts doing their stuff. Okay?
And I think the clarity comes in where you said place your bag on top of your station. It doesn't say it's set up your manicure.
There is the key word.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's going wrong. Because many of you in your classroom, you might say set up. We don't say set up. We say take out. Take out your supplies. So that might be right where it's at.
Right.
So change your language. Change it to take out. So that they start understanding what's going to happen there. Okay? Okay. This ensures all containers remain closed when not in use. That would be their, it could be like a pop-up, if they have a pop-up white thingy for disinfectant. That lid needs to be closed. It could be their polish remover, anything like that, anything with a lid. Sometimes you'll see them try to take the polish bottles and open them up and then just tip the brush over so that it's just still open. They can't do that. That's an open container.
But they can unscrew it and just let it sit there.
Let it sit there. I can suggest that if they have trouble opening that they should put a rubber band around the top of the nail bottle so they have some